Join me today as we talk about the Saudi trip that President Trump just took. Quite amazing if you looked at it. Even if you're on your left, you got to appreciate the respect over there. The new House bill, what kind of things are in? What kind of things are out? No tax on tips? I don't know. And the Boeing 747, I think we should take that gift. What do you think? Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. I don't know if you're watching the stuff that I'm watching with Trump in the UAE, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia. I mean, it is like amazing what they have shown to him. He has got uber respect. They come in with the lavender carpet. They got, he comes out with a lavender tie. Now, I get it. Everybody's like, oh, it means royalty. No. Relax. Biden got the same carpet in 2022. It is like a symbol of their flower. They have a lavender flower. It means like unity. They typically use that carpet for dignitaries. So, but setting that aside, it was an amazing entrance by Trump and what they displayed. They had sabers out there. They played the national anthem. They had American flags running around. And then when he left, Qatar met President Trump and they had an escort with F-15s from their Air Force there. It has been a remarkable scene thus far. And, Trump's speech, I don't know if anybody caught that, but he gave probably one of the best speeches a president's given to a foreign nation, godly, probably 60, 70 years, a very long time. And the gist of it was the United States is open for business and we want your business. We don't want to be a nation building country anymore. I served in Afghanistan in 2005, and that was hearts and minds, what it was. Trying to, get them to like us and build schools and build hospitals for them and give them money, have their contractors build their schools and we pay the contractors. They had to hire locals in that area to build those schools, to get wages and get it. We don't have any business doing that. The United States has been influencing their democracy and their way of life for far too long. And Trump basically said, listen, the past is the past. A lot of people like Mark Levin, he's a hardcore conservative guy. He was all pissed off about being over in Saudi because, they had something to do with 9/11. I get it. But that was 24 years ago. And I know people are upset, could be upset about it and whatever you want to say about it. We have a great relationship with Japan. Everybody's driving around in Japanese cars, and they have been driving around Japanese cars for about 50 years now. And right now, the Japanese build better cars in the United States. That's kind of the way I look at it. They've been building better, more reliable vehicles for a very long time. And guess what? They attacked us on December 7th, right? 1941, Pearl Harbor. We lost about 2,400 individuals that day. Surprise attack. But yet, we're friends with them. So I think we can move on after a little while and let bygones be bygones. You're never going to forget, and you're always going to remember that things happened. But at some point, you've got to move on. So when you're holding these grudges and, the Middle East, they've got to be continually at war. And then you got Israel in the middle of it, and they're trying to get us to propagate some of their discrepancies and their wars and their fights. They keep telling us to manipulate our country, and they are deep embedded in Congress and our lobbyists for our congressional and Senate House members. That all has to stop. And so what Trump was simply saying was like, look, those days are over. We want you to buy our stuff. We want to make money with you. And if we make money with you, that helps your citizens, that elevates your society, that elevates your people, and everybody prospers. And that was his message. No more trying to put our Western way of life on these other countries. Why do you think we're attacked all the time? They don't want us over there bothering them. But everybody likes money. Everybody likes money. And I think that showed. He got a standing ovation after that speech. That ought to tell you right then and there that trip over there in Saudi was huge. Huge. Now he's got Iran coming to the table saying, listen, if you immediately lift our sanctions, we will dismantle our nuclear arsenal and our nuclear technology, except for a little small part, some spinning thing, whatever, to keep energy going for their people. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it all needs to go. And I think Trump understands that too. They don't need any nuclear capabilities whatsoever, whether it's an energy plant or not. Get a windmill, okay? Get some windmills up. We're not going to have that. Nobody in those countries need to have any nuclear capabilities. But if Trump gets that deal made, he's going to lift the sanctions on them. They're going to be open for business. Syria, drop the sanctions on them. They were excited about that. Yeah, Syria did a lot of bad stuff, 10, 15 years ago, but you got to move on from that. And a lot of this stuff isn't our business. Now, when we have invested interest in these countries, we're doing trade, we get mineral rights, and people don't understand, minerals are very big. Minerals are going to be huge with AI technology. They are. And he who has all the minerals, he is going to control and lead in the AI technology market. All of it. So that's why these minerals are extremely important for us to start investing in and getting our hands on. Because the technology with AI is moving at a very, very rapid pace. So Syria, we got negotiated deals with them. He's getting Ukraine, and Putin was supposed to meet with Zelensky, but Putin, he sent like one of his third or second in command guys to negotiate. He was supposed to be there personally. That didn't happen. That war is not going to end until Trump meets with both of them and he works out a deal. And I bet you that's coming. That's coming very quickly. So a lot of people are talking about Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize. He should have got it before with the Abraham Accords. And, that got blown up later on after he left office. But I really believe this time around, with the way he was greeted over there. Now, they definitely know how to work Trump. His ego is massive. So when you give a display like that with horses and some camels and 21 gun salutes, and the largest building in Dubai was colored in red, white, and blue, and all the palaces are red, white, and blue, and you got the people there taking pictures and photos and flying American flags in their hands. That's huge for Trump's ego. And they know that. And I'm sure he realizes they're playing to my personality, which is great. You are never going to see anything like that again. And if you're on the left, you should really appreciate it. You should, more than you probably do. Now, the President of the United States greeted in these Middle East countries to that level of respect. You will never see that in your lifetime again. If you're alive right now, you're never going to see that again. You're not. That is what it was, an amazing display of respect that they gave to President Trump. And I was blown away by it. I'm still talking about it to people. Like, did you see that? Because I've been in the Middle East. I know how they respect power and leadership and men and being macho. They respect those countries, uberly respect. You think if Kamala Harris had won the presidency, that she would have got a huge parade like that? No, absolutely not. The prince, whatever, the king, what he would have sent is fourth in command, maybe a secretary to go meet her at the airplane. It was a wonderful display. And he's just knocking home runs over. So if he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize this time around, that award isn't worth shit. Because you don't give it to Obama, who did absolutely nothing but winning an election. That's it. He just won an election. Then I guess what? A couple weeks later, he got the Nobel Peace Prize. And then you got the President of the United States flying around, making deals, making them shake hands, getting peace treaties done. This is what he's doing. And right now, and what happened? The Saudis just $120 billion to Boeing, a contract with Boeing. President Trump had a contract signed for Boeing so they can build like 737, 747s, a bunch of planes, 120, the largest deal ever made while he was there. I think it's something about $2 or $3 trillion already guaranteed. Now, some people are like, well, who was it? Qatar or whatever it was said they're going to give $500 billion. And then people are talking about, well, there's only 286 billion of that. That's, we know what it's for. And that's the thing. They already earmarked that part of that expenditures to certain items already. So the other $220 billion still has to be allocated to other projects. But it was promised, it was signed, and that's another deal. So he's bringing a bag of money back with him to the United States to start building here. So Boeing needs to get off their ass and start building some airplanes. Whoever's the CEO of Boeing, he needs to figure it out and start hustling that assembly line and start getting these airplanes put out. Because the whole controversy about them donating the 747 to President Trump for Air Force One has been way blown out of proportion. Here are some facts for you. That deal had started last year of Biden's presidency. They had already discussed that. Why? Because the president of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, is flying around on a 40-year-old airplane. That Air Force One was Ronald Reagan's. And there's no backup. The second Air Force One that we had some structural issues with it, so it was grounded. This is a new 747 that they are gifting the Department of Defense. They're not giving it to Donald Trump. It's gifting it to the Department of Defense. And yes, he can absolutely accept it on behalf of the United States for that purpose. Now there's a lot of security issues, apparently, but do you really think we get an airplane from Boeing and we just put the president to fly it around like, hop on board, man? No, they stripped that airplane down completely. And they put it back together, checking every nut and bolt, making sure there's nothing hanky about that airplane that could potentially be a threat to our president or anyone flying around the plane. That's what they do. They do that when you get the airplanes from Boeing. So the media is not telling you everything they need to tell you about what's going on with why he's going to accept it. It's a free plane. Boeing won't have a plane for the United States to substitute our Air Force One for another 10 to 15 years. This is an American company. The deal Trump got with him while he was in office the first time around, Biden sat on it, didn't do anything after Trump negotiated, like got $1.5 billion off the price of the per airplane, and they still haven't produced the aircraft. So I don't see a lot of conservative hosts like, oh, we don't need that, we don't want to get that. Yes, take it. It's a free plane. Why wouldn't you get a free plane? And it's not to President Trump. They're not giving it to him. It's going to the Air Force and Department of Defense. That's where it's going to go. And it's going to get refitted because the President of the United States should be flying around in the most modern aircraft that we have. It's embarrassing. And Trump talks about it all the time. I remember when I got sent home for Christmas break when I was in Afghanistan, and I had to fly through Bahrain. I went to the airport there. And this was in 2006 when I was right before 2006. It was Christmas. It was 2005. And I went to the airport there. They had Ferraris and Lamborghinis spinning around inside those airports. We got like Corollas, maybe a Jaguar inside our airports. It was immensely impressive, that airport. And I flew into Orlando, which is a nice airport, but it's nothing like these airports in the Middle East. Nothing like them. Bahrain was amazing. And that's what Trump sees all that. Like, listen, we're the United States. We should be leading with infrastructure, technology, and our airports should be gold-plated. And when people fly into the United States, just be like, wow, this is amazing. Our cities should be Taj Mahals. The streets should be clean. Buildings should be beautiful, refurbished. That's what he's talking about. And that's what we need in the United States, for more respect. But the Air Force One thing is a joke. We have a beat-up plane that's 40 years old, and it's still being used by the president in 2025. So I say, get that plane. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's not like he's going to get it. They're going to put that blue wrap on it, and he's going to fly around in it next week. No. It's going to be like taken apart, every nut and bolt checked, put back together, and it's going to cost millions of dollars to do that, obviously. But he just saved like almost $1 billion getting the plane for free. And that was a gift. That's what they do. They're very generous. I said that on one of my other shows. So I think we should do it. I think it's a great idea. And it just shows a little more respect that they gave it to us. And Biden was going to have it, but he's not even running the country. And speaking about Biden, you got Jake Tapper coming out with his book. I think his book comes out next week. A lot of excerpts about that book have been publicized. Biden had cognitive decline for an extreme amount of time. This wasn't just the debates. He didn't know members of his cabinet. He forgot their names. When he was on stage, with George Clooney and President Barack Obama, he had no idea who George Clooney was. George Clooney was interviewed, and he said he had no idea who he was. They had a debate whether they were going to help him on stage or put him in a wheelchair and wheel him out there. They thought that was a bad idea. Jake Tapper, who obviously said Biden was sharp as a tack, completely lied. The media completely fabricated the stories of how his cognitive decline only showed up in the media. Now, all of us on the right, we all knew it. Every single one of us on the right knew this guy wasn't on top of his game. He was an asshole for decades, but he was clearly not on top of his game. Clearly wasn't the same guy that he was when he was Vice President Barack Obama. But I think afterwards, the reason why Barack Obama didn't support him on his presidential run, this is my opinion, in 2016, is because he knew he had a major cognitive decline and he didn't want to support somebody like that. But then 2020 came around, I think he got the idea of the old earpiece, and he could run for a third term and tell somebody what to do, operate from his basement. These are his own words, right? Remember him saying that? That he would love to have a third term, have somebody up there as a figurehead, sit in his basement and kind of tell the guy what to do to run the country. I think that's exactly what he did. And unfortunately, Biden was really bad, but he can do it for a while. Probably got to deal with Joe Biden. Who knows? I mean, I'm completely speculating here, but you never know. That could have been the whole premise why they supported him and wanted him to run this time around in 2020, because he knew he could probably manipulate it and take charge. But when Joe Biden doesn't remember his cabinet members, some of the people he's known for decades, called some, I don't know, can't remember who the name of the person was, but he called somebody Steve and it wasn't even his name. Called it to him a couple times. Had no idea. He didn't know signing an executive order that he signed that day when he was being interviewed. He didn't even know it. He didn't know what he signed because he probably didn't even sign it. It was the auto pen, right? So interesting things are coming out here with Joe Biden and the book with Jake Tapper popping out. I'm definitely going to read it. I mean, we already know what the story is. It was obvious to everybody except the people who can completely get manipulated by the media. And those people, I feel sorry for. Those people that can't see Donald Trump getting paraded around like pretty much like a superhero over this past couple of days and still have to hate on him. How do you feel? You have been manipulated by the media so badly that you believe everything they've told you, and now you are their vessel. When I go on these lives or I get comments, I get nasty comments from people on the left, and it's not even close to being facts. But the media has manipulated some of these people that have just taken the reins now. And they're the voice, they're the springboard for all of this negativity against Trump. And they fuel it, and the left puts gasoline on it and coal and strikes it with a match and just keeps going and keeps going with it because they know they got those people. And it's unfortunate. I feel bad for those people that one day they're going to wake up. And then I just got hoodwinked, bamboozled by the media for 15 years. I believed everything they were saying, and they were completely fabricating it all to me. And I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And those are the people that one day they're going to wake up, or maybe they won't, but some of them will. And I'll think they'll believe that they've been taken advantage of. Because if you don't appreciate what's going on right now with this country, gas is down, eggs are down. Everybody talks about eggs. No one's talking about gas. They talked about eggs. No one talks about the price of gasoline. Now, you know, when something goes boo in the Middle East, oil prices go up. And you see all this positivity in the Middle East, oil is going to start going down. Trust me. I don't know what he said, or it wasn't discussed, but for something tells me in my gut that Trump talked to them about pumping out a bunch of oil. And they're probably like, sure, we'll do that for you. Now, the big, beautiful bill is coming out, and they talked about some pieces of it. Let me tell you, it's not a big, beautiful bill. A lot of the stuff Trump wanted in it, it's kind of scrapped. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. That's in. But these provisions are going to be from 2025 to 2028. That's it. And then they're gone. And there's a whole list of requirements that you have to have. You can't, it's got to be at a job that you don't get a huge salary on. If you get a salary of, $100,000 a year and then you make tips on top of that, you can't claim your tips. Something that lunacy. But no tax on Social Security is out. And that's a huge one. It's not a big, beautiful bill. Congress gets in there and they just chop it to smithereens. So for all those people that are so excited about all this, You're going to be highly disappointed. And this isn't Trump. Trump told him what he wanted. He didn't say no tax on tips, no tax on overtime pay for 3 years. He said he didn't want it anymore. American people shouldn't be having to pay that out of their paychecks anymore. And you shouldn't have to claim it. If you make tips, you don't have to put it, why should you have to write it down anywhere if you don't have to claim it? Right? And then no tax on Social Security. They scrapped that out of there. He wanted no tax on Social Security. I think that's a huge benefit for seniors. When you live on a fixed income, having an extra $200, $300, $400, $800 a month is big for a senior that's living on a fixed income. I think that needs to be in there. Congress didn't even codify the DOGE cuts, the cuts that they found. They didn't even codify it in a bill that they should have passed last week. So Congress is doing nothing, absolutely nothing. Mike Johnson is worthless. This small little man, he was more worried about getting selfies on Trump's plane with Elon Musk during the campaign than he is about getting this bill done the right way. We want no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on seniors, and we want it permanent. Not for 3 years. We want it out. So we'll see what happens after they go back to negotiating. They said they're going to get ready to vote on it next week. And I don't think Trump's going to like it because he wants certain things in it. And it's just not for 4 years, 3 years for his presidency. He wants, when he leaves, he wants it to keep going because that's how you build a legacy, right? By keep going after you long after you're gone. Well, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.